What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Encourage and Inspire podcast. I'm your host, Durell Peart. And as always, this show is all about empowering and encouraging and inspiring change through authentic conversation with thought leaders, creatives, and industry professionals who are making a real impact. In today's episode, I had the pleasure of sitting down with Lasada Pippen, a motivational speaker, communication coach, and former engineer who made the bold decision to step away from a corporate life to walk fully in his purpose. Lasada shares his incredible journey of transformation and the mindset shifts that help him trade comfort for calling. We dive deep into his climb with clarity framework, his passion for helping people find their purpose in their work, and his belief in true success is all about impact over income. This conversation is full of insight, motivation, and real life lessons that will encourage you to keep climbing no matter what obstacles you face. Sit back, relax, get ready to be inspired, and let's jump into episode 102 of the Encourage Inspire podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Encourage and Inspire podcast. This is episode number 102. We actually right at the beginning of season 4 of the podcast. We're not at the beginning, but we just started season 4 here recently. So again, I had to come back with another fire guest. And it's interesting. I guess she's an agent friend of mine has sent me over a few guests. Her name is Amber. We wanted to shout her out. She said, Durell, she said, I got another one for you. And she hit me with this brother right here. And I mean, he's a special one, man. He's kind of in the lane that I definitely want to pivot into myself. And that's motivational speaking, coaching, communicating with others, man. So this is my guy, Lasada Pippen. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey man, doing very well, brother. Excited to be here, man. Excited to chop it up with you.
For sure.
And yeah, shout out to Amber for sure. Great person right
For
there.
sure, for
Yep.
sure. And for the rest of the episode, we just gonna say LP and I'm
There you
DP.
go.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, for sure.
so that's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. So yeah, man. So I usually talk to guests in the music industry because that's kind of my lane in terms of talking to people about, you know, why they wanted to even get started in the space. And I think when it comes to what you do in the motivational speaking in the coaching space, because I'm a coach too when I'm coaching artists, but coaching can be such an interesting um space when you start talking to people and coaching people, especially when you have an expertise in trying to get people to the next level. But what made you kind of decide you wanted to, or what inspired you to kind of say this is what I want to do? Because don't you have a background as an engineer as well? If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
I was a computer engineer for a little bit over a decade. And
Okay.
um, I left corporate to do speaking full time, and coaching is the newest product that we just launched, the communication coaching and so forth. But yeah, I pivoted about 3, 4 years ago to full time keynote and motivational speaking. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And that's a lane that I really want to get into myself. As somebody with
Yep.
a disability, and really just showing people, because I think that's just a natural as well pivot for me too in terms of sharing my story. Uh, I've been featured in 20 plus magazines since about 2017 when it comes to what I do for independent artists in the coaching space, in the consulting space, and helping them to navigate this crazy thing called the music business, right? And so I had to
Yeah,
figure
yeah,
out a way to kind of still build my personal brand around it because when you're working with creatives, and a lot of times when you manage and talent the way I do work with creatives, it's easy to get lost in the sauce when they decide that they don't want to do it no more.
yeah, yeah.
So so
That's
you got
interesting.
so you
Like,
gotta yeah, so you gotta kind of find a way to really make it about build your brand on top of it. And so when I started, really touching into the media space in terms of magazines and publications, I really believe that any platform that allows someone to share their story, no matter how big or small, is impactful. I don't care if it's 20 people that see that publication or if it's 10,000 people, it's still impactful. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I think it's definitely something I don't take for granted in terms of being able to share my story. And I think just speaking, I'm naturally good at communicating and really like sharing the things that I'm passionate about. So I've looked into certain cats like Jeremy Anderson. I know who he is.
yep,
Yeah,
yep,
he's big in the space, and what he's
yep,
doing. So I've definitely looked into possibly taking his program, but I definitely think Don, as I'm starting to get older, and I'll always do music. I'll always be involved in entertainment because it's what I do. But
yeah,
pivoting into the space because especially when you start dealing with school, there's always going to be schools. There's always going to be those places. There's always going to be places to impact other people, and I think that's really something I think is really really cool that you do, man. So yeah, man.
yeah,
So yeah, so
yeah.
so so talk to me about like again, what inspired you to get into speaking and motivational
Yeah,
speaking?
man. The simple answer is that it was love, man. Like I love what I get to do, Durell. Like I love it. I'm obsessed with people and inspiring people and helping people elevate to be the best person that they can be.
And
I want the best for everyone. Anybody that I encounter with, any stage that I'm on, any type of room that I'm in, any virtual setting that I'm in, I want the best for that person. And so when I started speaking, for me, that was an opportunity to inspire people, to help their life elevate and go to the next level. I grew up in a faith-based house, Durell, and
okay,
so
okay,
I believe that this love and this passion for it came from watching other speakers, especially other pastors and so forth, watching other pastors inspire a congregation,
hmm
inspire a body of people, give them hope and give them something to look forward to. That ignited some type of fire, some type of passion in me for speaking. And that's where the fire came from. And so when I left corporate, I always tell people that I didn't leave because something was wrong. I didn't leave because I wasn't paid well. I didn't leave because it was bad management. I didn't leave because I had bad team members or bad colleagues. I didn't leave because something was wrong. I left because I wanted to do what I felt like I was called, purpose, and gifted to do. That's why I shifted and transitioned. And communication happened to be that place, that space to where I feel like I can have my greatest impact is speaking and inspiring people.
Oh man, bro, LP, bro, you speak my language. I don't know if you can see my jersey here, but encourage and inspire. That's my brand. That's what I'm all about.
Exactly.
That's probably why
Yes.
Amber sent you to me
Yep.
because of this
Yep.
platform, man. But it's all about encouraging and inspiring people because to help somebody get to where they gotta go is so impactful. Um, I don't know. Can you? They're doing a little construction behind me, so hopefully you can't. Can you hear that?
No, it's all good. No, you're
Okay,
good.
good, 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 good. Just making sure. Man, it's all about in how we impact others.
Hmm.
That's the key part because when you focus on impact, then ultimately the money comes, right? I think so many people
Yep.
focus way more on the money versus the impact. And as you continue to impact others, inspire others to be the best version of them, you know, ultimately, man, you get to where you got to go. So, yo, that is so in line with. I'm with you on that completely because touching people is really what it's all about. When you can share a message and somebody can look. It ain't your job to convert everybody in the room, but if you can talk touch to one or two or three people out of 100 or 200, however, you did your job for the day. Because it's never about you ain't gonna be able to impact every single person in the room, but you're gonna touch somebody. Somebody's gonna hear that message. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, absolutely.
Somebody
Yep,
gonna hear that message, and it's about the right person to hear it to ultimately get them. It's like when you go to a conference, whatever industry you're in, everybody gets inspired when they hear that keynote, right? When they hear that keynote,
yep,
what's even more impactful is were you able to touch them in a way that when they leave that environment, um, and they go back home. To see that's where the battle is. It's cool when you get to be around like-minded people. When you have to go back to
yeah.
your environment of maybe where you not have maybe where someplace where you're working towards is were there certain things in that message that you heard is what's going to keep you driven to keep you know to keep going along the path that you chose to go along, because that's really to me where the message comes into play, because it's all fine and good when everybody's like-minded, but when you get back into the real world and you have distractions and all kinds of things coming at you, that's usually where the challenges lie, in my opinion. At least at events that I've gone to. But impacting others is so key, man. So key. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, man. Talk to me about a pivotal moment in your life or career where you realize the true impact for your vision. I mean, kind of, and you just shared a little bit about, but like, is there a specific moment where you haven't been like, man, the vision is here. I know what it is I want to do, and did you kind of have the path already kind of set out for yourself? You know.
Not really, and I think the real moment for me was waking up every day, going into corporate, doing my job, doing it well, and not being fulfilled.
Yeah.
I think that was a turning point for me because the way that I ended up going to college was my parents actually brought a recruiter. When I graduated high school, I didn't have any plans, no goals, no dreams, no ideas. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, honestly. And
Okay.
my parents, they brought a college recruiter to my job. I was working at Burger King at the time, and they brought a college recruiter there.
Hmm.
And he just asked me a simple question: "Hey, do you want to go to college?" Just kind of give me a yes or no. And
Okay.
nobody in my family had ever went to college.
Okay.
So I was the first to go to college. I was the first to graduate college. I was the first to work in corporate America. Because I was the first in so many things, I didn't really know. I didn't really have a plan. I didn't have a blueprint. I didn't have role models coming up. And so when I chose to go to college, when I chose computer engineering, I chose something that I knew paid a decent amount of money and that would be around for a long time. That's how I
Mm.
chose that.
Mm.
So after doing it for a little bit over a decade, you know, I realized that wasn't my purpose.
Yeah.
That wasn't where I was supposed to carve out my imprint in life. And so that's what led to the shift for me. That's what led to the transition from one career to another career. And I don't even call what I do now a career. I call it a purpose. I call it a calling because what I do now is far more impactful. Is far more meaningful what I get to do now.
Mm.
And as I was going through that 10 plus year journey in corporate, I just wasn't fulfilled. And again, it wasn't because something was wrong. It was because I needed to be somewhere that was right for me. And so
Well,
that was a turning point for me.
mm. I feel that, man. I feel that. Um, I think managing the turning point, knowing when, man, and that's it's interesting you say that, because that's why I choose to live my life the way I do, because because when you realize that impact matters way more than just having a career, having a job, whatever you want to call it. Like, are you impacting? You know,
Yep.
are you impacting the people in a way that when you go to sleep at night, are you going to be fulfilled in the fact of, man, like I touched people? And that's why, like, I do, because one of the reasons why I wanted to get to the entertainment industry, because at the core of the entertainment business is people and relationships. You know, that's the
Yep.
core of it,
Yep.
man. People, people and
That's right.
relationships. So,
Yeah.
and I feel like, yo, that's what I'm great at. I'm great at people. I'm great at relationship building. And then you got to kind of find a way, and like anything, you got to carve out a niche. Anything you're doing, you got to carve out a niche in a space where you're able to kind of live in that space.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
I totally understand that, man. So let's talk about, navigating challenges, man. Like so as a well, let's pivot before that. Like, what is some of a couple of the main topics when you're doing your motivational speaking? What are you often called to speak about? That's what
Yeah. So the top areas that I speak about is so I have this thing called climb with clarity.
okay,
So I help organizations, teams, corporations, individuals. I help them climb with clarity.
okay,
And that is found through purpose, communication, taking ownership, and being resolved. So those areas are the primary areas of where I talk about. We want to ignite your team with passion and purpose. We want to help them to be able to collaborate to where they become a resilient team. Their performance goes up when there's collaboration and effective communication. All of those things transpire into a great business, into a great company, a great organization when you have a resilient team. But there has to be purpose, there has to be resolve, there has to be ownership, and there has to be effective communication. If you have those things in your organization, in your company, if you have those things, you're going to have an awesome environment. You're going to have an awesome work culture. You'll have an awesome team. You'll have an awesome team that performs well at the next level. So that's what I help with. I help teams and organizations climb with clarity.
oh man, I love that. I've never heard it broken down that way. I love that, man. I love that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you can impact performance, right, especially in the corporate space, that's really I think why you would bring somebody in is to help, people help teams impact performance and get the best out of them. Like you said, great coaches, great head coaches in sports are able to pull something out of you that sometimes you can't even pull out of yourself. They used to say that was what Pat Riley was so great.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
exactly.
Well,
Yep.
well,
And just,
Pat,
and even
go ahead.
even just positioning the team, the team, just knowing how to collaborate and communicate effectively. If you can just elevate those two things,
Hmm.
the entire team changes, and even if you so think about this for a moment. So I grew up watching sports and playing sports, track and basketball primarily, right? So I
Okay.
love 90s basketball.
Yeah.
And here's something that I think is very key for teams and organizations to thrive and get to that next level is that you have to position people properly. You got to
Yeah.
position people properly, Durell.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you position people properly, then guess what? Your team will function at optimal performance.
Oh
Think
yeah.
about the 1990 Bulls, right? They had
Mhm.
Michael Jordan, they had my guy, Scottie Pippen, they had Dennis Rodman, Steve Kerr. They had all of those great people on a great team
Yeah.
that became a championship level team. But
Right.
here's the thing: Dennis Rodman, he couldn't play a lick of offense.
No.
He couldn't shoot free throws. He could barely dribble. He wanted to go hit no jump shot at
Nope.
all. But here's the thing: he was excellent. He was
At his
fire
role.
at
His,
at defense and
and
rebounding.
rebounding. And I mean, look, he's in the Hall of Fame for defense and rebounding. You know,
Right. But think about that.
Yeah.
He's positioned properly.
Yeah.
You can be you can be on the right team in the right building, but if you're out of position, it
Yeah.
will not perform the way that it's supposed to be. So you got to
I,
position people properly. So that's what I help with, man. I help teams build something so powerful to where they operate at a high level.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it. Um, so yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, Dennis Rodman, like he played his role absolutely perfectly, you know.
Yep. Yep. He's the perfect example of positioning people properly within your organization.
Okay.
And as I was saying, you can be on the right team, in the right building, with the right team members. But if you're out of position, then the team cannot perform at optimal peak performance if somebody's out of position. So you got to position people
Okay.
properly.
So
And
so
that's what I help with. I help
so
teams
let
and organizations
so
build something great.
let's break that down, right? So where often do you kind of see people where they what's the most common space where you see people out of position? Is that a fair question to ask?
It is, and you can see it almost in any industry. Is
Okay.
because if you haven't done a gifts assessment of the people in your company, it is most likely that you have somebody out of position.
Can you say
If
okay?
you have if yeah,
You said
if
a
you don't
gift.
understand, yeah, your gifts. If you
Okay.
haven't done a gifts assessment of the
Okay.
people in your
Break
company, if you
break
don't know where their
break that down.
strengths are,
Okay.
yeah, if you don't know where their strengths are, if you don't know where their strengths are, and matter of fact, even if you don't know where their weaknesses are, if you don't know that, it is likely that you have people in the wrong position. They could be doing much better at, you have some people that are front facing or customer facing. Some people, not everyone is built for customer facing positions. Some people are better in the background, not out in front. And so the only way that you know that is by understanding the gifts, the strengths, and the weaknesses of the people that is in your company. So we have to know that. And so we use the same analogy that I was using about Dennis Rodman. If you tried to make Dennis Rodman a point guard or a two guard, that team would have been an utter chaos because he would have been out of position. But if you put him on the block, if you put him where he can rebound and you lock up the best opponent on the team over there, I want you to lock down their best opponent. That's what I want you to do and only get rebounds. Now we're a three-peat and championship team.
Oh, for
Now
sure.
we got six championships because I got you in the right position now.
And it's interesting
So
when you
teams operate better when people are positioned properly. Go
no
ahead. I'm
no
sorry,
for
Durell.
sure. Referencing the Last Dance documentary, right? That
Yeah.
came out a couple of years
Yep.
came out during the pandemic. And it's funny
Yep.
how like I think Phil Jackson knew you gotta let just Dennis be Dennis.
Yeah.
He's
For
gonna
sure.
act a little crazy, but he's gonna show up when it's time to show up. You know,
Yep.
Dennis was a rock star. Can you imagine what Dennis Rodman would have been in today's era with social media and branding and like everything that we have now? I mean, he was about 30 years too early.
I know. I
You
know. I
know,
know.
imagine what he
It probably
would
would
have
have been
been.
extremely
Oh,
hilarious
oh my
to have
gosh,
Dennis in this era.
what he would have
Yes.
been doing in this era of social media would have been crazy. But I
Yes.
just think that I think great coaches also know how to give certain people, and we can relate to a little leeway to let them do what they do. Sometimes
Yep.
you don't want to put a stranglehold on certain people. So that hey, I gotta let them rock a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
they say in teams, you don't treat everybody the same, but you treat everybody fair. And that's a key thing,
Hmm.
right? You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep.
Everybody don't get treated the same. LeBron, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan wasn't supposed to get treated like everybody else. He's Michael.
You're right.
So what was considered the fair for him would have probably wouldn't have been fair for everybody else. But there's certain things, certain people in every organization that, depending on the role that they play, you have to allow them to do what they do. If
Yeah, absolutely.
if
Yep.
that makes sense. And I think it's
Yeah,
important. I'm sure
absolutely.
it's important to identify, like you said, those strengths in people and what makes them tick, what makes them do what they do, because
Yep.
that's how you
I,
ultimately get the best out of them in terms of what we talked about before, positioning properly.
yeah. And where do they thrive best? Where
Exactly.
does this person thrive best in my company? If
Mm,
I'm going to hire a new person and I'm excited about this new hire, I need to understand where does this person thrive the best in my company.
got you.
That's important. Is to
Yep.
understand that. And
You,
so
you have
I
to.
just think that teams operate much better when people are positioned properly. So
Right.
that's critical for team success. Critical.
For sure. You know, your platform emphasizes authenticity and courage. What advice do you have for those who are striving to step into their own power when they're faced with obstacles? Life is going to hit us all kinds of ways.
Yep. Yep.
Obviously, I have a life challenge with having a disability, and LP, the way I've dealt with it, man, is I've embraced cerebral palsy wholeheartedly. It's the only way you can actually mentally be okay, because for me, this is, there's a lot of people in my position that is faced with the physical challenges that I have, and I'm blessed because it really only affects me physically. Some people,
Hmm.
it affects them mentally, their motor skills, all kind of things. I live independently. I take care of myself, so I'm very fortunate
Hmm.
that to be in the position that I'm in terms of the challenges that I face every day. But what do you tell people? What advice you give them for those who are striving to step into their own power and see what makes them special, even when they're faced with challenges? Because again, challenges are going to come every day in life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one thing that I would tell people is that there's a huge power in coexistence. Now, what do I mean by that? Is that if you want to thrive and get to the next level, is that you want to be able to coexist with some of your toughest challenges. You want to be able to coexist with fear. You want to be able to coexist with procrastination. You want to be able to coexist with self doubt and a lack of self belief. You want to coexist with some of your toughest challenges. A lot of times, where we mess up or the mistake that we make is that we try to wait to get rid of those things that we feel are debilitating towards us before we make our next move. And if you wait for fear to never exist, self doubt to never exist, for a lack of self belief to never exist, if you wait for those things to disappear, you'll be waiting forever before you make your next move. So I encourage people to make that move, to take that leap of faith, to walk forward, even in the presence of fear, doubt, the lack of self belief. Do it anyway. That's what I had to do. I had to learn how to embrace those things and invite those things in and have a conversation with those things. And so, if you can learn how to see your obstacles as opportunities, if you can see it that way, if you can just reframe how you see those things, everything changes about your approach. Everything changes about your power and the momentum to go forward. But we got to learn how to coexist with a lot of the challenges that we have and stop trying to get rid of them and see the obstacle as an opportunity. That's how I would tell people to move forward and step into that power.
Man, I love that. I love that. I mean, I love that completely, man. Um, you know, how do you balance, staying true to your personal values while also adapting to the fast-paced demands and changes in what's going on in culture? what's going on in the stuff that you do, because personal values, when I'm teaching my clients about building a core audience. So, and this, you could apply this to any industry, right? Having a core community, right? Your personal values got to align with what you believe, with the people you try to attract into your world.
Yep.
Am I making sense with that?
Yeah, totally. 100%.
So your personal values, while also, because you can sometimes be put into interesting situations,
Hmm.
and having to adapt, when it comes to, um, I'm sure things that you may not do, may not want to do, despite, even if the money might be great, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But how do you stay true just overall to your personal values of just life, and the vision that you have for people, who may not see life in the way that you see life, but
Yeah,
still
absolutely.
but still finding a way to impact them,
Yeah, totally.
and yeah,
100%.
yeah.
You know, I honestly, I don't focus on what anybody else is doing, honestly. I don't focus on the latest trends. I don't focus on what's popular right now. I don't focus on who's at the top of the charts in whatever industry. I don't give my focus to what other people are doing. I literally try to focus on me and where I want to go and what I want to accomplish in this life. I am a person of strong identity. I know who I am. I
Mhm.
know who I am at the end of the day. I know I want to do. I know who I want to improve and become. And so because I know those things, it's easier for me to stick with those things. Some people they don't really know who they are.
Yeah,
So that means that if they don't know who they are, that means that they are open to any other or multitude of opinions because
right.
they don't know who they are. And
Facts.
so I see a lot of people that spend so much time, they're spending so much time trying to be someone else instead of focusing on being their best self.
Oh yeah, and
I,
and
I, I see that so many times.
and it's easy
Is
to
that
do.
people
Yeah, yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah, we're trying to be something that we're not instead of
Mhm.
embracing who we are. You know what I mean? And I tell people is that you may have been raised a certain way, but you're made totally different. The way that you were raised and the way that you were made are oftentimes totally different. And so we
Yeah,
want to lean in on the side to where this is how I was made. I was made for greatness. I was made to outlast. I was made to endure. I was made to connect with people. I was made to build lasting relationships. So you got to understand who you are. That's the best way to operate is knowing who you are, and then that way you can walk into that true identity. Stop trying to be like other people. We compare ourselves to so many other people all the time. We compare how many likes this person got and compare to how many we got, how many followers they
yeah,
have, and how many we have. We spend so much time comparing ourselves to other people, and I'm like, turn that energy around and
yeah,
focus on you.
yeah,
Focus on what's great about you.
yeah.
So that's why I tell people, man, stop comparing yourself to other people and focus on the greatness that's on the inside of you and let that shine. Let your greatest attribute shine every single day.
And I can relate that to the space that I'm in. I tell artists all the time, look, no two people's path is ever the same. Stop trying to be somebody else. What's
Yep.
meant for you is meant for you. And it's easy to fall into the trap of fame, of chasing fame. I tell people all the time, I don't want to be famous because fame is fleeting. And there's no
Yep.
metric that you can gauge to say, okay, I'm closer to fame now. People think, well, I have X amount of followers, or if I'm a celebrity, that means I'm successful, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so for me, it's like I don't want any parts of that. I want to be impactful in what I do. So what you just said, and understand that like personally, like even with podcasts and social media, it's easy to get caught up in, man. I don't have enough. I only had 100 views on this video. I only had
Hmm.
100. But the way I look at it, LP, is if the right people see what it is that I'm doing, that's the impact that I'm about, right? So
Yep.
because it's so
Yep.
like I said, because we live in a world, and let's keep it a buck. We have a lot of quote unquote people because of social media who are just regular people now, thinking that
Hmm.
they're
Hmm.
above a certain level because they want attention, but it's misplaced attention from in the wrong situations, right? If,
100%.
if I'm making if
Yep.
I'm making sense, and so because and then LP, what that affects everyday life. That affects how women see men, how women what women value in men. Because it's so messed up right now, man. It's so
Mhm.
messed. Society is so messed up. And I'm going wrong. I love social media for what we do, what I do in entertainment, but it's a lot of misplaced um desires, in my opinion, because it gives people the wrong reality. Like because when you're looking on social media, you're seeing curated content. You're not
Hmm. Hmm.
seeing people in their most authentic self. So a lot of
Yep.
times when you if you were to meet that person in real life, or are they who they are online as they are in real life? I always You want to have a brand. You know your brand is not broken. If I connect with LP, if I see you online and we then connect offline, I should want to have the same user experience, the same experience that I receive from LP online, whether you put out video, whatever it is you're doing. To when we connect offline, I still feel the same connection.
Absolutely.
That's how
And
you
you know,
that's
and
how
and
that's how you know that your brand is solid, your personal brand.
yeah, and I think that's the reality of it, is that for me, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
This, I never have to put on for the camera. I never have to put on when I'm, on stage and when I'm speaking and coaching. I'm not putting on. I'm going there truly as myself. I'm not trying to trick anybody, and I see that a lot is that there are sometimes there have been clients who have told me that they have booked a speaker and the person that they saw in the reel was not the person that was on their stage.
Mm,
And so they left there with the question of where was the person that was in the reel?
right.
That's the
Yeah.
person who I wanted. And so that shouldn't be the case.
Never.
Is yeah, you should see one person when you know who you are, you're the same person day and night. It doesn't matter at what time somebody will catch you, they're gonna find this same genuine person, and I think that's important for being able to walk into your true power and to accomplish more than what you ever imagined is to walk into your true identity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important. You have to be authentically yourself, man. Um, man, before we get out of here, and I want to respect your time, man.
Yep.
How can the people connect to you, man? How can they find you? You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, tell me how we can connect to you, how they can connect to you if they want
Yeah,
to.
very easy. Yep. LasadaPippen.com is going to be the easiest way. That's just my first name, last name.com. All of my socials are just at Lasada Pippen. That's every one of my socials. Very easy to find. If you're looking for somebody to grace your stage, if you're looking for somebody who will elevate your audience, elevate your team, if you are looking for somebody who will help you in terms of communication and coaching, look up LasadaPippen.com, and I think you'll be greatly satisfied with what you find. And I would love to connect further with you or anybody who is listening to this episode today.
Wonderful, wonderful guys. Look, we could be here for hours on hours with this fine gentleman, but I want to respect his time because he's a very busy man, and I want to thank him for being today's special guest on episode 102 of the Encourage Inspire podcast. This is your host, Durell Peart. Until next time, I'm out of here. Peace.